As we have discussed in the previous chapter, that one of the main tenets of Christianity is the fact that Jesus is God, however, not Yahweh. How can we understand Jesus' divinity? In the beginning was the Word, and the Word was with God, and the Word was God. He was in the beginning with God. All things were made through him, and without him nothing was made that was made. In him was life, and the life was the light of men. John 1, verse 1 to 4. Many interpret this verse as the proof that Jesus is God, and therefore he is the creator of the world, as all things were made through him. However, I would like you to notice that the word him is capital, and in the Old Testament only God was capitalized as him to distinguish that this was talking about the one true God. In the New Testament, capitalization of Jesus when directing as him depends on the specific English translation rather than the original Greek text. Most major Bible translations do not capitalize Jesus as him. This is known as following standard English grammar rules, where pronouns he, him are not capitalized regardless of who they refer to. Therefore, since we have capital him, could this be talking about God Yahweh, who was the creator of this world and through whom all things were made? When looking at the divinity of Jesus, it is important to fully understand what this could mean. Divinity refers to the state of being divine and possessing a sacred, godlike nature or the quality of a deity. It often represents a transcendent power, supreme excellence, and can refer to specific divine being. Divine beings are known to be angels or any being in heaven. As we know, God or Elohim is a title, just like the Lord is a title. In the Hebrew Bible, we see angels or divine beings are referred to using the word Elohim. However, the term is complex and does not always mean the same thing. God can be a divine being. However, Yahweh can only be one, as God explained in the book of Isaiah. I am Yahweh, this is my name, and my glory I will not give to another, nor my praise to carved images. Isaiah 42, verse 8. Therefore, Yahweh is God's name, and God or the Lord is the title. Jesus was called Yeshua, and that is his name. Christ or Messiah is his title. Jesus was also called the Lord or future Lord. Therefore, this is also a title. Could Jesus be God as we understand Elohim or divine being? Yes, because that is a title that signifies divine nature. Could Yeshua be Yahweh? No, because Yahweh is one, the creator of the world, and there is no other. Jesus cannot morph into his Father and be Yahweh and Yeshua at the same time. This is why the doctrine of Trinity cannot be true representation of God. How Jesus could be divine? Jesus came to Jews as their Messiah, as the Anointed One and the future King of Israel. During his time on earth, he did not fulfill his role as the king. However, this was prophesied that he would be cut off in Daniel 9, verse 26. In Judaism, it is understood that Messiah is to be a future human leader, not divine, who will be chosen by God to bring redemption, peace, and restoration to Israel and the world. Because this didn't happen during the time Jesus was on earth, he was rejected by Jews. In Christianity, however, Messiah is understood to be someone with more power than a human, therefore divine being or God, and therefore more likely to be attached to Trinity. One of the main criteria for the Messiah is to bring people to the law and to usher the world into an age of universal peace. Since the world did not enter an age of universal peace, Jesus was rejected by the Jews. However, if we look at the role of the Messiah from divine point of view, the focus would be only on the soul of the Messiah that could exist in different bodies at different times. Since Christianity rejects the concept of reincarnation, this would only be considered in a light of Christ. However, reincarnation is not a foreign concept in Judaism. In the Gospels, we see that Jesus was recognized as the Messiah by others. She said to him, "Yes, Lord, I believe that you are the Christ, the Son of God, who is to come into the world." John 11, verse 27. Simon Peter answered and said, "You are the Christ, the Son of the living God." Matthew 16, verse 16. We have established that Jesus was not Yahweh, and here we also see a clear distinction from God the Father. Jesus being the Christ, the Anointed One, the Messiah, and the Son. However, we cannot forget about few other characters in the Hebrew Bible that did not explicitly claim divinity. However, they were also anointed ones and acted in line with the will of God. One of those individuals was Melchizedek. Melchizedek didn't directly claim divinity for himself, nor does the text explicitly state he is a divine being. However, his mysterious appearance in Genesis 14 as the king of Salem and priest of God Most High, El Elyon, has led to significant historical and theological speculation regarding his nature. He was without father, without mother, and without genealogy, which definitely calls for mystery. Melchizedek is described simply as righteous king and priest who blesses Abraham with bread and wine. This is very similar to Jesus, who also blessed bread and wine at the Last Supper. And Jesus also said, "Before Abraham was, I am," which could suggest that he was physically before Abraham in the body of Melchizedek. The word "I am" does not automatically have to mean God, I am. Jesus said in the context of "I am" because he was speaking in the time of existence, therefore he couldn't say "I was." Another mysterious character in the Old Testament was Enoch. In the pseudeographical book of Enoch, 1 Enoch, Enoch does not claim divinity for himself, but he is portrayed as privileged mediator who visits heaven, reveals secrets from angels, and is designated as the scribe of righteousness. While he remains human in the earliest texts, later Jewish traditions, especially 3 Enoch, identify him as the being transformed into the high-ranking angel Metatron and often called the Lesser Yahweh. Again, here we have similarities with Jesus as also being righteous and called Lesser Yahweh. Enoch was taken to heaven alive, which sets him apart, but he is not described as being equal to God. We also cannot forget about Moses, who was fully human yet performed miracles through the power of God. Moses parted the Red Sea, turned his staff into a snake, caused 10 plagues of Egypt, and brought water from the rock. Moses is a big character in the Old Testament that many people say and compare to Jesus, as Jesus being the second Moses. However, Moses was never turned into a god by the Jews. Elijah was equally mysterious by walking closely with God, and similarly to Enoch, he was taken to heaven alive and performed many miracles. His miracles included multiplying oil and flour for a widow, raising a child from the dead, calling fire from heaven on Mount Carmel, and parting the Jordan River. We can see similarities not only with Moses by parting the river, calling the fire from heaven, and similarities to Jesus by multiplying oil and flour and raising a child from the dead. Again, Elijah was not transformed into God, even though he was also taken to heaven alive. All of those characters performed extraordinary miracles, yet no one called them to be God. Those miracles were comparable to the miracles of Jesus, yet Jesus very quickly was turned into a God in Christianity, even though he did not call himself to be God. The verse "I am" is up for interpretation and language differences. However, no one in Christianity is taking into consideration that in all of those characters, there is a possibility that it was a soul of Messiah, meaning they were all one and the same soul, but in different bodies and different times. Reincarnation was very specifically rejected and forbidden by the Church at the Second Council of Constantinople in 553 AD. This early church doctrine was banned by the Emperor Justinian at the Council of Constantinople, and from then on, belief of any pre-existence of the soul was established as heresy. Therefore, 5 centuries after Jesus' death and resurrection, the Church decided to reject a belief that was widely accepted before and even has verses associated to it in the Bible. That is another example how man-made Christianity manipulated people into their narrative that the church was creating. Of course, the word reincarnation is not used, as this word was invented in 1829, therefore much later. Many people reject reincarnation as it is not in the Bible, yet accept Trinity, even though this word is also not found in the Bible and a later creation. The concept of reincarnation is present in the Bible as being born again, or as a concept of repaying for the sins from the past life. One of the examples is presented in the book of Job. Behold, God works all these things, twice, in fact, 3 times with a man, to bring back his soul from the pit, that he might be enlightened with the light of life. Job 33, verse 29 to 30. Here we see that God can work with a man twice or 3 times on specific aspects of their character and soul. This is only possible through life experiences and through trials and tribulations. What we see with our human eyes are the unfortunate events of a righteous man. Some might think that this is unfair and why God would punish someone who doesn't deserve it. However, we do not know the past lives or consequences of the past life and what this person needs to work on. Very often, in the most difficult times, we find our strength, we find the purpose of the soul, and we have this wake-up call from God. We go through hell on earth, but once we come out of the situation, we look back and we are in fact grateful for what has happened. This is not a coincidence. This is God refining our soul. We might not understand the process in the middle of these unfortunate events. However, this unfortunate event is later appreciated as the catalyst to change. Another example is presented in the book of Psalms as the circle of life. You open your hand, they are filled with good. You hide your face, they are troubled. You take away their breath, they die and return to their dust. You send forth your spirit, they are created, and you renew the face of the earth. Psalm 104, verse 29 to 30. Here, reincarnation is presented as a natural cycle of life. One is born and filled with good, but then when one dies and returns to dust, God sends forth His Spirit and they are created again in a new body and born again. God renews the face of the earth with new bodies, but old souls, that with each life can achieve its fullness and perfection. Another verse where we find reincarnation is in the book of Isaiah. Awake, awake, put on your strength, O Zion, put on your beautiful garments, O Jerusalem, the holy city. For the uncircumcised and unclean shall no longer come to you. Shake yourself from the dust, arise. Sit down, O Jerusalem, loose yourself from the bonds of your neck, O captive daughter of Zion. Isaiah 52, verse 1 to 2. This passage signifies that each garment represents different life. The daughter of Zion puts on beautiful garments, meaning she had many lives. Shake yourself from the dust, meaning coming to life again and again. Just like in the Psalm 104, where body returns to dust, in the book of Isaiah, the body is metaphorically shaken out from the dust, meaning it comes back, however, on the different garment. Therefore, the idea that Jesus could have been reincarnated soul and having many lives and performing different miracles at different times not only puts his soul as divine and being with God from the beginning, however, this does not necessarily put him equal to God or being morphed into Yahweh. It is important to separate those aspects, as we have to praise God only as the one true God. Yahweh is one and there is no other. Yahweh created the world. Yahweh created Jesus' soul and Jesus had his beginning. Only Yahweh is everlasting and we should praise only Yahweh. That is why the idea that Jesus is Yahweh and therefore praising Jesus only is very dangerous, because this is simply breaking God's commandments. This praise belongs to God only, because without God, even Jesus said he would not be able to do the things he did. Therefore, the power of God is what gave Jesus abilities to perform miracles, not his own. Most assuredly I say to you, The Son can do nothing of himself but what he sees the Father do. For whatever he does, the Son also does in like manner. For the Father loves the Son, and shows him all things that he himself does, and he will show him greater works than these, that you may marvel. For as the Father raises the dead and gives life to them, even so the Son gives life to whom he will. For the Father judges no one, but has committed all judgment to the Son, that all should honor the Son just as they honor the Father. He who does not honor the Son does not honor the Father who sent him. John 5, verse 19 to 23. Jesus later puts emphasis on believing in the Father. Most assuredly I say to you, he who hears my word and believes in him who sent me has everlasting life, and shall not come into judgment, but has passed from the death into life. John 5, verse 24. Those that believe in the words of Jesus will have everlasting life, meaning they will come back as a soul in different body, having different life. Everlasting life refers to the life of a soul, not necessarily to the life of the body, as flesh has limitations and expiry date. However, it is important to prepare the earth for the presence of God that will dwell on earth with people. That is why our task is to walk in the steps of Jesus, to do as he did, to uphold the instructions and commandments of God, to become perfected humans through those trials and tribulations. It is not about escaping to heaven after one unsuccessful life. It's a soul's journey. If you liked this chapter, you can find this chapter and many more in my book, Deconstructing Christianity: How to Untangle from Religious Dogma and Keep the Faith, now available on Amazon.